Leeds United have come out on top against Nottingham Forest, and instead of focusing immediately back on the football pitch, a lot of people's attention has now shifted back to the world of transfers until, of course, we go to the City Ground yet again to play Nottingham Forest yet again, away from home yet again. It's not the most interesting of starts to a season, but there are a couple of emerging little bits of transfer news that I think are a little bit worth a little bit of conversation. So in this video I'm going to talk through a little bit of a Mudryk update, which is quite interesting because things seem to be evolving in spite of various people, including my opinion, so we'll have a little bit of a chat about that. And in addition to that, we will talk about a potential young signing that Leeds United are looking at by the name of Matias Arokco, which I think is a very fascinating one that could have a very, very good future at Leeds United and potentially beyond on an international level. But before I do all that, pop a like on the video, subscribe, that'd be quite nice of you, thank you very much. I'm desperately hoping that the baby is sort of halfway asleep because she's sort of hovering between the two. It's great, it's fine, we'll see. If I can one take this, it'll be a miracle, but we'll see. Anyway, first little bit of news is surrounding Mykhailo Mudryk, because there's been a little bit more information surrounding the sort of deal that Leeds United attempted to get for Mykhailo Mudryk, which was apparently we looked to complete a deal on loan, which we already knew. Loan was the general gist that we were looking at. However, we've got some more details, including the amount that we were willing to pay in terms of wages, which is a little bit surprisingly less than I personally expected. So Leeds United offered to pay 50% of Mykhailo Mudryk's wages for his time at Leeds United. He's currently on 100 grand a week, give or take, which, if you think about what Leeds would have to pay, that'd be £50,000 a week if we're paying for half of the money. Across the length of the season, £2.5 million. That's not too awful. That's fairly reasonable for a Premier League winger who has, let's be completely honest here, questionable ability at the moment because he's not really played in forever. However, the counter sort of proposal that was put forward by Chelsea is very, very, very different. The counter proposal was reportedly Chelsea wanted 100% of the wages covered, which would be £100,000 a week, in addition to a loan fee of £2 to £3 million. Now, that shoots everything up from £2.5 million across the length of a season, which is fine. That's a reasonable amount of money to pay for wages, to about £7.5 million, which is vastly more and makes it a little bit of a scarier investment. And if we do end up getting this deal done, then it will fall somewhere between the two, and I am desperately hopeful that it's more in the direction of the 50 grand a week, significantly less expensive, because I think £7.5 million on Mykhailo Mudryk for one season, effectively to develop Chelsea's player again to get them to a position where they're able to sell him again, is nuts. Loaning is fine, all well and good, fantastic stuff. It means that you are able to develop your own squad without investing too much. But I think for a player of Mudryk's level, it'd be a waste of money for us to just sort of pay £7 to £8 million only to give him back in 12 months' time in a more sellable state. I don't like the idea of that at all. Add on to the fact that I don't particularly think he'll be good enough, given what I mentioned in a previous video, and the personality issues. I would personally skip over Mykhailo Mudryk and look to somewhere else. But there is another little bit of news that needs to be covered today, and that is that surrounds Matias Arokco, who is a Colombian midfielder that you've very likely never heard of, primarily because he plays for Deportivo Cali over in Colombia, which again is a side that you will have never heard of, but he's also just 18 years old. He has played a significant amount of football for his age, specifically, if I can find the numbers. He has played 15 games of senior football for Deportivo Cali across the last 2 seasons, which is a lot of football for an 18-year-old, especially considering he's managed to break through at senior level. But in addition to that, he's one of those players that has a very, very high level of potential. And that is where Leeds United come in, because there is word, if I can find the tweet that I was looking at, please, 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 where are you hiding? From Mariano Olsen, who is a journalist that works over in Colombia, who has stated, and this is word for word, the jewel is leaving. This guy is seen as like the jewel in the youth crown of Deportivo Cali. Matias Arokco will emigrate to an important team in the English Premier League in the coming hours. So this isn't saying at some point before the end of the window, this is in the next couple of days this deal will be done. And importantly, it is for an exit clause of €6 million. Some of the teams that were specifically linked with signing him were Leeds United and Brentford were the big ones. There's been a little bit of chat around Liverpool, but that one sort of fizzled out a week or so ago, with the Leeds rumours being a little bit louder a little bit more recently, which is especially important. And specifically, forgotten the name already, Mariano Olsen, there we go, noted that it isn't Brentford that is going to be making the move. Leeds being one of the more sort of significant target destinations, and there's a little bit of a relationship between the owners of Cali and the owners of Leeds United. The owners of Cali being IDC. Apparently they've got some form of link with the 49ers, which is pretty damn good. In essence, this is a guy that has stood out whilst being very, very, very young, has a decent pathway ahead of him, and Leeds could be that pathway. For about €6 million, in all likelihood, it's looking like it'd be an under-21 signing, a very expensive under-21 signing, but one that excites me quite a bit, because signing players for €6 million from Colombia to play in your under-21s team is something that you expect to see from Man City, from Chelsea, from Liverpool. Instead, if we are able to make this move, able to sign him, potentially loan him out again, in case there is a suitor somewhere in Europe that is saying we will play him week in, week out, that is very, very, very nice. That will put us on not only solid footing, but it'll give us a very sort of positive direction for the years to come, because it's not just a case of we're signing players that are for the first team now, or we're signing 22, 23-year-olds that are for the first team now to potentially be sold soon. This guy being 18, senior footballer in Colombia already, wanted by multiple Premier League clubs, means that sign him at 18, whatever happens for the next year or two, he'll probably not be in the first team, but by that point he will have massively increased in value. Continue to increase his value as a part of the Leeds United first team, because you don't sign someone for €6 million if your intention is we'll flip them for profit at some point. And then ideally become a sort of pillar at Leeds United, knowing the culture and everything around that. It's been too long since we've had a very, 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 very good under-21s team. And I think players like Arokco could be key to building that. And in the event that it is Leeds United that he comes to, and I think there's a very, very strong chance that it is, I will be very happy with that signing. So to sum up, Mudryk, we've heard a little bit more about what the terms were. Leeds wanted to pay half his wages. Chelsea wanted vastly more money than we were willing to offer at first. There might be a middle ground. Ultimately, I'm not super excited about that. If there is, Arokco, very exciting. €6 million in terms of wages won't be too much. Hopefully on his way to Leeds United, but we'll find out if we are that lucky Premier League club. And I am going to leave that video there, because I've been stumbling all over my words for quite some time, and thankfully she's gone to sleep, and I'm going to go to bed because it's currently 1:45 in the morning, and I worked like 13 hours yesterday. So, I'm going to leave that there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you later. Ta-ra.